We are ready to go live. Good evening and welcome to this conversation on National PR Day. We call it the Prep Talk. And the idea of this conversation is to help a lot of people out there understand how the world of PR will change, specifically for youngsters who are looking to enter this world of public relations in the coming few weeks and months. My name is Hemant Gole, and I'm a part of School of Communications and Reputation. We are an institute dedicated to public relations based in Bombay. And every year we handpick the future leaders of PR for a 10-month-long program based in Bombay. Like I said, the purpose of this conversation is to get insights from the young leaders of PR that you see on our panel with you, and get their perspective on how they feel the world of PR will change. And more specifically, if you were looking to join this PR space, either as a career option or were intending to get an education in this space, what are your options now and what are the things that you should be considering? It's happening on 21st April, which is the National PR Day. I don't know how many of you know why today is the National PR Day, but I would love to hear from you. If anybody knows the answer to that, you can put that answer in the chat box as well. And if you have the right answer, then you'll get a special prize from SCORE. This conversation is also live on Facebook and YouTube. So that if you are not able to see this webinar, then you can watch it later on YouTube as well. Our panel needs no introduction, so I'll just go around and open the floor for a conversation with them. I want to start by asking our panel, how have things changed because of the pandemic outbreak on their end? What has changed as far as their own work is concerned? And what has changed as far as their clients or their internal and external stakeholders are concerned? How their expectations changed, and how is everybody responding to it? So I'm going to start alphabetically. Gitika, I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Okay, great. So just a bit about myself, just to set the background right. I have been in the PR sector for about 14 plus years. I started my career in 2006 in Bombay, and yes, it's always been PR, so I don't know how to do anything else but PR. And yes, about 2 years back, I thought, it is about time, and I started out on my own. I formed my agency, and just when I was telling everybody that I'm taking baby steps and just, rolling my PR schemes for my clients, this pandemic hit us, and we are like in the middle of nowhere. Um, I feel in terms of work, as it is a startup or an agency is pretty much on a hand to mouth sort of a model. So, and considering mine was a startup, or sorry, is a startup. So yeah, I would say, I do have clients and promises which have been put on hold for now, saying that, let's see once things get back to normal. Having said that, I'm investing in my energies, and so are my employees. It's a very lean team, and we're just working towards more research-based work, because even the media opportunities, like 80% are all concentrated towards covering COVID, or the related incidents, or in terms of crime or administration, all sorts of news. And in the middle of that, you really can't go to them and say, hey, I have a little lifestyle product, can you please put it in the product placement section? So it looks stupid. So yes, work is somewhat, it has taken a hit, it is on hold, but yes, in terms of getting yourself involved with research, research based work, and yes, offering your help to your clients in terms of all sorts of marketing communication initiatives is what I am investing my energy in right now.
Great, thanks, Geetika. Julia, you have been a part of SCORE. You were class of 2018, and you've been in the PR sector for the last couple of years. So how have you seen things change, and how are you now counseling your clients differently?
So, like I almost have 3 to 4 years of experience in PR by now, and I come from a very different perspective, because right now most of my clients come from the healthcare sector. So we work in the space of public health, and all of them are right now on their toes. catering to the, as in the situation right now, because all of them are right there in the field, help collaborating with the government, tracking what is happening in the sector, the healthcare sector. And there's a lot happening in the healthcare sector right now, because all of them are servicing, uh, expanding their services. And then it also, the public policy part also comes in. So most of them are tracking what the like real time tracking happening as to the what are the initiatives by government, which and collaborating with the government to help in as many ways as possible.
It is on hold.
All right, that's an interesting perspective. Thanks, Julia. Michelle, you're a part of the corporate communications team at Godrej, and that's a wide range of stakeholders that you have to possibly communicate to in a situation that nobody really prepares for. So, how are things happening on your end, and more specifically, the PR advisors that work for you? And that's some of India's biggest PR advisors that work for you.
Perspective. Thanks,
How
Julia.
are you? What kind of expectations do you have from them? Sorry, you're on mute.
That's correct. So yeah, times are challenging right now, but it's been pretty interesting at our end. It's overwhelming. There are a lot of campaigns that we are working on as of now, because like you said, Hemant, it's across the sector, and we're catering to many essential goods as well. So we are communicating our stories, and like Gitika said, it's not apt to go and say, hey, I have a lifestyle product, but we are figuring out ways on how we can go. See, because if you're out of sight, you're out of mind, right? We need to reach out to our consumers. We are catering to a lot of essential goods. As of now, we are working on 5 digital campaigns, traditional campaigns for brands. There are very interesting trends that we are seeing across sectors. Like we are the leaders in the hair color market. And though hair color is not classified as an essential good, we are seeing sales upping for hair colors, because our hair colors are available in chemist stores, and people at home, they can't go to salons and they want to be groomed at home. And most of our time we are spending right now on webinars and calls, and you need to be groomed for the call. So you're seeing a spike in hair colors, and we are trying to communicate that story to our consumers that, hey, listen, we are available at chemist stores, though the government is not. And we also want to do a little bit of lobbying to make sure that these products are also essential goods. We are all talking about COVID right now. We are market leaders in the household insecticides category. And like the trends are saying that Singapore already has about 4,000 malaria cases. The government is focusing right now on COVID, and all the attention is on COVID, but no one is talking about malaria and vector-borne diseases. So this is the time we are going out and communicating stories that are relevant for consumers, right? Whatever said and done, with all the news around us, whatever you needed to know about COVID, you know right now. And it just creates the panic situation. Even media wants to get more news. We are identifying new journalists that we had never engaged with in the past, right? It's always the FMCG beat journalist that wrote a story for us. We are actually going to health media right now to talk about vector-borne diseases. So it's very interesting. New trends are emerging. It's a challenging time, because you're a little bit challenged from a technology point of view. You're too dependent on high-speed internet, and it's becoming very difficult to get two stakeholders connected and share our stories. But we are overcoming it. There are a lot of interesting new specs that are coming out, and it's very interesting as of now for us.
Interesting indeed. Thanks so much, Michelle. Coming to you, Rajkamal, you are a part of India's largest PR firm, and you have an array of clients, and you are at the fulcrum of media interactions therein. So how have things changed at your end? What's new?
Thanks. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this platform. It's wonderful to interact with all of you. And I hope whatever we interact is of beneficial to the end audience who are listening us live. Just to answer your question, Hemant, things have changed a lot from business point of view. It has become much more technological dependent right now. You know, initially also all the organizations knew the importance of technology, but post this pandemic COVID thing happening, they suddenly realized how what is the role of technology which is playing in today's day. So be it interacting with your own team, be it interacting with the clients or be it interacting with the journalists or as the multiple stakeholders, as you initially mentioned. Yeah, so initially, few days in the last week of March, business was a bit static. We were still understanding. It was wait and watch strategy for all of us, including the clients. But post March, we started realizing, we started customizing the messaging, the key messaging which needs to go out from the client's point of view. We started analyzing the news which media is writing, which media is covering more closely than ever. And hence, based on our analysis, based on our observation, we discussed with the clients, and clients also reciprocated in a very positive way. They understood the challenges which not only agencies and consulting firms are facing, but also brands are facing, and they extended the best possible help in customizing the messages which can be run through the media, the journalists. So off lately, if you guys will ask me, it has been business as usual for us. The frequency of release has gone up. Clients, as Michelle correctly said, COVID has been covered to death. I mean, whatever we want to know about COVID, whatever the readers want to know about COVID, people are aware of it. Now, as a journalist, also, you want to cover something beyond COVID, and that's what we have been doing. We have been identifying and we have been helping them. As a result of which, we have been getting good, credible stories. We have been able to manage, so not only for bigger clients but also for smaller brands, startups. So in a way, for us now things are improving. It's coming back to the normalcy for us.
That's very interesting to know. Perhaps you're one of the few agencies who can say that. But coming to brass tacks, and Geetika has a question. Perhaps you can shed some light on what happens to job prospects in communication space in the next few months at least. In what way will the hiring change, and in what way will the nature of hiring that everybody does change?
I feel there's going to be a hiring freeze for sure.
I'm sorry, one request, Geetika, do you mind being a little louder, please?
Yeah.
Any better? Any better now?
Slightly better. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying there's certainly going to be a hiring freeze. If I have to just give a rough, statistic to it, it may be like an 80%, 85% of the consultancies definitely will be putting a hiring freeze. The entry level will certainly be affected, but I feel utilization of the resources will go up, as in your mid-level, mid-senior level, and senior level. If they were, let's say, 80% engaged on a day-to-day basis, maybe the load will go up a little more. Agencies will definitely need to go beyond the set scope of work and also alter and sort of, adjust to what the current scenario is, and maybe change their strategies basis that. But definitely jobs, I mean, for aspirants, it will not look very rosy for the next 7-8 months. If I don't say 1 year, yes, maybe 7-8 months for sure. So if somebody has an option really, who was, as it is, weighing that, go for like an upskilling or course or something, maybe they should consider that for now. Yeah.
Thanks for Geetika. Rajkamal, your perspective on that.
Yeah, I agree with Geetika, what Geetika said. Initially, for the we can there will be no fresh hiring. I can understand that. I can imagine that. But when it comes to replacements of the talents which has gone, we are definitely open to explore and hire that. Yes, that is point number one. Point number two is productivity. Enhancing the productivity will be the focus for any organization, including us. And our and we are monitoring very closely how best can we squeeze the maximum out of the resources, just to ensure that our work doesn't get impacted when it comes to end delivery of the brands and clients.
Okay, Michelle, what do you think? How will the job prospects change, and what different would you expect from your teams that you will build over a period of time?
See, across agencies as well as internal resources, I feel that the ask will be much more. And now with the whole change of landscape and in terms of marketing as well as PR, the ask of newer skill sets, and you need to make sure that it's no longer about issuing a press release and traditional PR. So I'm sure that the younger generation and the aspiring PR professionals that we are talking to right now, if they utilize this time to develop their skill sets and get out there, I don't think so there's a dearth of opportunity, because people will be looking out for sharper, smarter people who will understand what the changing landscape demands. Existing organizations will do a lot of training and building employees, and they're using this time to make sure that we are all set for PR 2.0. And if we don't match up to that, we will require these youngsters to fill in the gaps. So I think it's high time we roll up our sleeves, and especially these youngsters who are right now using their time invested in just developing their skill sets.
Great. And Julia, what do you think? What does PR 2.0 look like, and how can youngsters who will be a part of PR 2.0, how can they identify these skill sets, and how can they develop them?
So like, as all of them mentioned, the world is going through a very tough time now, and this will last for maybe another 6-7 months, and things look bright after that. So I think this is the right time to get an education, hone your skills, and be prepared when the time gets when the situation looks better. And this is the right time to invest in your skills, and come out more prepared and be ready to take on whatever the future holds.
Thanks for that, Julia. I'll come. These questions that we are asking have been summarized from a lot of questions that we have received from colleges and from other undergraduate students. And we will, of course, take a few questions from our current set of attendees as well, if they have any questions. So I want to understand, is this a situation that is affecting the world of PR a little more than other industries, or is this something that how is PR as a space doing relative to other industries? Geetika, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I'll just say that yes, like any other industry or an organization or the sector business field right now, PR definitely has taken a hit, and we're all feeling it. But I feel future looks brighter, because everybody did depend on communications a lot, but even in future, to sort of communicate their fresh strategies and to the newer set of audiences, and whatever changes a company will undergo or a brand will come up with, communications will definitely play as like that one big function or that tool that companies will bank upon. So I feel communications will bounce back stronger, maybe like in 7-8 months. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Geetika. Michelle, what do you think?
I personally feel that PR, it's a good time for PR, at least across sectors that we are operating in. We hold in our hands the key that can deliver really remarkable results in these difficult times, right? With all the advertising budget cuts, and we are seeing that, right? Agencies across the advertising cut, marketing teams. March is the time that we plan for our annual operating plans, and that's the time budgets are decided for brand campaigns. And now with this whole change in the scenario, we are seeing that shift where you have the brand teams, the stakeholders coming to you and relying on you much more, because it's about what stories you are going to share. It's always more credible to get a 3-column balanced approach story from a journalist than a half-page ad. And we all know that. We keep talking about that. We keep tom-tomming about that. This is the time that we pave our way. We always script that, advertisers hog the limelight and they take the major chunk of the budget. It's our time now where we can demand this because PR is a low cost marketing tool, and I'm seeing that across that brand managers are coming to us and they want us to share their story. A lot of regional PR, a lot of influencer engagements. That's the need of the hour. They can't stop communicating to their consumers, and they know that we are the ones who are going to share their story, and they're relying much more on us. So I think times are I do understand across sectors, it's different, but it will improve. It will improve. It is going to be very, very positive for us. I think we should just make sure that we are all geared and we are there to offer solutions to our stakeholders, which are relevant, and share our stories, which are more purpose driven, which are more authentic, because we are the ones who can really weave the story the way, you know, the consumers want to hear it, right? So we have more purpose driven, more authentic, more research driven narratives. That's the need of the hour, and I think we'll do a fabulous job. You're mute.
Still figuring out technology, I guess. So picking up on what Michelle said, and I want to bring in another question that's been asked by one of our live audiences. Gaurav Jain asks, will PR have an edge over advertising in such times? Will clients spend more on PR vis-a-vis advertising? So Rajkamal, what do you think? How is that going to change?
I think PR is going to have an edge because our view is that this is the right time. We feel there is a greater need of crisis management and internal communication right now, which will be driven by PR, and hence our view is very optimistic about the scenario, about the improvising scenario, and we are actively engaging with the clients, brands, and media, and understanding how best can we integrate each other, and how best can we leverage the situation so that all the stakeholders benefit out of it. Michelle said PR is a low-cost communication tool. I would just rather like to just add one more point to it. It's a very cost-effective tool. More than low cost, it's a very cost-effective tool which helps us getting the desired results in a very effective manner. Hence, our view is very optimistic about the whole scenario, and we definitely think in a longer run, not only in longer run, immediate also, in a shorter run also, PR will have an edge over advertising.
Okay. Thanks so much for that. We have one more question from Brinda Anand. She asks, what are the most important skills a PR person should possess? And I imagine the answer to this question has changed somewhat in the last few months. So let's talk only about those changes. I'd like to hear from all of you. What are some of the skills that were not very prominently required from PR professionals maybe 3 months ago, but now they are essential, especially in this era? Geetika, can we get your opinion on that?
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to elaborate earlier also on this, but I feel a lot more flexibility in terms of that rigid scope of work and the numbers of deliverables. And then, I think going beyond that scope of work and offering your help in terms of marketing communication sort of, tool or a function. And second thing I would say, adapting to the change. Yes. So the better we and the quickly we do it, it'll be better for all of us. Yeah. So these points, we'd have to be a little flexible in terms of adapting to the new change, the change structure, and the entire ecosystem. Because
right,
the way our clients communicate and their needs, they have changed now.
Julia, what's your opinion on this?
So, earlier, PR was limited, as per the perception, PR was limited to press releases and, sending out some pieces of information. But if you look at the perspective, if you look at the current times, it has a very important thing that has come to the forefront is stakeholder management and engaging with the stakeholders. So right now, everybody is working together, to achieve a common goal. And stakeholder management and engagement is something that I feel has taken a prominence and which people need to excel in.
Okay. Michelle, your view?
So I feel we were always talking about virtual reality, the digital shift, new age media, augmented reality in PR. And now is the time. Now you don't need to go to your client or your stakeholder and convince them to shell out some money to do a virtual press conference. But that's the only option that person has to do it. So what stops us from using technology? I think we will have to really develop ourselves in the digital space right now. It's all about less is more, go more more focused, be authentic, digital. We always said SEO is king. PR was very, very focused on traditional media. Media mein kitne square column centimeters. I think we need that shift. It's more about digital. It's about finding new ways. There is no, one size fits all kind of a answer to this problem right now. We have to be a little more creative, more nimble, more agile, and keep experimenting, learning from what we are experimenting and seeing how, because we are all learning on the go, right? The first virtual press conference that you do, you see how the media responds to it, because not everyone is very used to technology. So I think we will learn on the go, and we need to just develop our skill sets in that space, and how we shift from the traditional space to the digital space. We are all talking about research driven narratives. Everyone, the youngsters need to have that analytical skill, how they can go up on in front of their stakeholders, in front of their brand teams, clients, and actually share a perspective from a business intelligence point of view, and how you can add that whole value than just knowing, I can pitch the story to XYG journalist because this XYZ journalist is in this particular publication. It's much more than that, right? You need to understand, and you need to talk the same language that your client wants you to talk. So that shift will happen, because now you will not only be doing press releases, you will have to offer much more to your stakeholders. So digital is something that I think that as a skill set, the younger generation needs to, and it comes very naturally to them. So I don't think so that will be a challenge, but you need to really up the game on that.
Right. Thanks for that. Rajkamal, anything to add?
Most of the points has been covered with by all the panelists. I mean, digital is the key thing. What Geetika added of being flexible and adaptive. I think one should be very collaborative. One should have that skill of work in a very collaborative environment. Today it's all about integrating with different teams and providing integrated solutions to our clients. Hence, this is one important skill set which I would like to see, which is being a team player, an actual team player.
Right, especially when teams are having to play in this format and formats that we are not used to.
Absolutely.
I'm going to now bring in one of our attendees who has offered to ask a question directly with the panel. Her name is Shifta Aleem, and she is a student of communications, and she should be coming on live shortly, and there she is. So Shifta, thank you so much for offering to ask this question directly to our panel. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
Thank you so much, Hemant. Firstly, congratulations everybody on this PR Day. And thank you so much for organizing this wonderful webinar. Sir, my question is that can you please tell me that how much does a global exposure, is important in Indian PR market?
Good question. How is the global exposure relevant? So go ahead. Perhaps we can start with you, Geetika.
I'm still like, there's on the side this read also something. I'm just reading it again 1 second. Meanwhile, if somebody's got the question, then they can start.
Sure. Can we get your perspective on that, Julia? How much is a global perspective, global experience relevant, and how useful is it?
How much is the global experience relevant and
relevant for Indian market?
In these times, you mean to say?
Yeah.
See, I feel we'll have to sort of, sorry, I'm just cutting in between. Sorry, I'm just
go ahead.
It's fine, go ahead.
Yeah. So I feel it is sort of that situation where you have to unlearn and then learn again, because nobody was prepared for this scenario, and it's got us all like unprepared, and we're all surprised. Nobody knows what to do, which is the right thing to do. So I think, whatever you knew, we'll have to sort of shed that notion and pick up on the current wave, the pulse of the hour, and then work accordingly. So maybe, learning is learning. Nobody can take that away from you. So the experiences, global or not global, they stay with you, yes. And you sort of pick and choose which one fits the pie when. So I feel that for now.
Great. Julia, how do you think it helps?
So I would say I mean, everybody has their own experience to go with, and what is happening at global level impacts us also at the local level. But again, there are certain measures that are being taken within the industry, be it in terms retaining jobs or helping out the employees who are still there. Almost all the companies are taking some or the other actions to help out their employees and be more empathetic towards each other. So I think it's more about adapting to the situation right now and charting your own way out of this entire situation.
Okay, thanks for that. Michelle, Godrej is present in 40 countries, and even within India, the presence is so varied that it's practically like being in multiple countries. So how do you think that different cultural experiences, how do you think those add up to being a good communicator?
So it's very, very important to get best practices across. So you definitely get a lot to learn from different countries. But India is a different animal, right? What happens in the north cannot happen in the south. So we definitely need to customize it to the Indian taste. Like we customize our international foods to Indian taste, even PR and communication, everything needs to be customized to India. But that doesn't stop you from a global exposure. It's good to understand what is happening around us because there's lots that we can learn. What happened 5 years before, especially in the PR trend perspective globally, is something that we are seeing right now. It takes us time to change. Behavioral change in our country is a little difficult. So it takes us time to change, but it can give you a sense and a direction of where we are going to head. So digitally, the way internationally and globally, they're very digitally evolved, right? And now is the time when we are getting evolved. So it's good to learn from and get an understanding from a best practice perspective. Definitely global exposure is important.
Great. So we've actually crossed our time, so I'm going to try and club the remaining few questions. There are so many questions coming in from the couple of platforms, and I'm going to start with Rajkamal, combining these questions that I've received from Gaurav Jain and Shifta again. Is a formal education required, or is it a must for someone to get into PR? And once, if you're trying to get into PR, is it should you start with an agency first, or or with a corporate communications team? So Rajkamal, starting with you.
Okay, I think formal education is a must. As far as if you want to plan into any mass communication field, be it advertising or PR, because it helps you in understanding the basics. Conceptual clarity comes. It helps you in getting the basic understanding, and I believe if your basics and foundations are strong, then it will be in a better position to implement whatever you have learned at your workplace. And hence institutes like SCORE and other leading institutes are playing a very important role in grooming the talent, in making them understand what are the foundations of PR and mass communication. I think formal education is a must as far as planning a career is concerned in PR or any mass communication domain. To answer the second part of the question, it's a very subjective thing. It might differ from person to person, from situation to situation. I can go by my own experience. I started my career from a PR agency. I believe starting a career from a PR agency helps you in understanding the nitty-gritties of the business. It helps you understanding the basics of communication requirement. It gives you a kind of exposure which you can utilize later in a Copcom profile, and hence I'm in favor of someone who is willing to start or someone who is opting to start his or her career from PR agency. So I think that's my views. I think that will work out better.
You're mute. You're mute.
Sorry. It's never going to get used to it. Gitika, what's your opinion on it? Should a formal education a must, and where should one begin?
I'll keep it very short. So yes, formal education definitely. It's no child's play. Please do not treat PR like that. And I would say like a proper post-grad, like a 2-year course, proper, with internship, everything. Mine was a short-term 1-year course, but I believe a proper 2-year training course should be done in PR communications. And yes, an agency person always. So start with an agency.
Okay, Michelle.
Wider range of clients and industries and experience. So definitely you'll enjoy a lot working in an agency. And then of course, I mean, corporates will also have their own perks and plus, the communications does look very rosy there as well. So, but I am more towards an agency.
Okay, Michelle, your point of view.
So I agree with Rajkamal and Kitika on the education bit. Formal education is important, and I do agree with the whole thing. It's my personal opinion. I personally believe that a person should work in a PR agency before entering a corporate, because it's always good there to have a good exposure and work with multiple clients, get your hands dirty. It's the same thing, like, if you're a sales guy and a sales executive and you have a sales stint, the moment you come into a marketing role, you add much more value to the organization, right? Because you've got the on-ground exposure. So it's important to get your hands dirty and work in a PR agency to understand the way things happen across various sectors before joining a corporate.
Wonderful. Finally, Julia, what's your opinion on this?
So if I talk about formal education and coming from the very personal experience, it is always better to enter the field prepared rather than you go and learn it on the job, because it gives you an edge over others when you already know the skills, and it also helps you in understanding the perspective as to what to expect, and that will also help you perform better. And looking at the times ahead, your skills, your expertise will matter all the more, as in how you excel in handling situation, because it's going to be very hectic. Now we get back on track. And talking about the PR versus corporate communications, as the other three veterans have already said, it's always better to have a broader perspective than head to a narrow path, or just go into one particular sector. It's always better to have a broader perspective about what other industries or sector have or understand about them, rather than just going on a single path.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that, Julia. And thank you to our panel as well for these incredible insights. I'm pretty sure these were really valuable for a lot of youngsters out there who are wondering what happens next. How can they make the decisions that were seemingly very easy a few months ago? And what's the right way to go about their careers and education going forward? Like I said, this conversation will be available on YouTube and Facebook as well. If you have missed it, then probably you can watch it and you can share it with those who you feel could be relevant as well. Finally, coming back to the original question, why 21st April is National PR Day. In 1958, Public Relations Society of India was founded, and 10 years later, they held the first public relations conference on 21st April, where PR professionals from across the country officially met, and they had a chance to talk about the profession and create a code of conduct and code of ethics for the profession as well. And that's why 21st April is National PR Day. With that, I want to thank our panelists once again. Thank you for taking the time out. And I hope everybody has a great evening going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hemant. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Geetika.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.